Hi, everybody. Rush Clockwork Angels 2012, produced by Rush and Nick Raskulinecz. He's back from Snake and Arrows, and this is good. Rush working with the same producer. Released on June 8, 2012. The 19th and final Rush album. This will be it. It'll be the last one of Stage 5, and most likely, with the death of Neil Peart, no more after this. From the liner notes, which I took out of here a minute ago, Geddy Lee, bass guitar, keyboards, bass pedals, vocals. And by the way, his vocals, they sound like Vapor Trails or Snakes and Arrows. They definitely were doing different things with Geddy Lee's vocals as he's aged and his voice has changed. It's not so much on the top anymore as it used to be. It's more in the middle of the mix, and they're starting to put some effects on it. You know, they did it with Vapor Trails and Snakes and Arrows too, but definitely noticeable here. Alex Lifeson, guitars, keyboards, and then Neil Peart, drums, cymbals, tambourine. What I noticed, my observation with this album, I didn't notice it so much with the previous two, but his drumming sounds more and more like Alan White, who's one of the main prog rock drummers of all time with Yes. It's a more traditional prog rock type and less of the flair and drama that Neil Peart brings to the table. I'm not saying he doesn't bring any of that stuff to the table, but it's just a more traditional drumming. And plus, what Neil's done a lot of on this album is the wipeout drums, which were featured on 2112 and some other albums, as they brought it back here. Okay. This album was also mixed by Nick Raskulinecz. Caravan and BU2B recorded at Blackbird Studios way back in Nashville, Tennessee, April 2010. Jump forward, all other songs recorded at Revolution Recording, Toronto, Ontario, October through December 2011. So they started and then they stopped and then they started. I think they went on tour in between and around, and they did the whole Time Machine tour and all that, which is a good show, by the way. All songs composed by Lee and Lifeson, and lyrics and Peart. Arrangements by Rush and Nick Raskulinecz. Now, that's important because, I like to spend a lot of time deconstructing the song itself with the verse and chorus and pre-chorus and the bridges and where the solos are and how that fits together. And, if they're working with Nick, they're soliciting his feedback on what the song arrangement should be. That's where the ultimate song structure comes from. And, that's where they add these little, add a couple phrases here, a couple extra measures to make this chorus fit into this verse. That they do that. They get it perfect. I mean, they're really good at it. And I think Nick helps them. Also in there, piano on the Garden by Jason Schneiderman, which is good. And then the strings. Yeah, by the way, you really hear it in the Garden in the bridge. Strings on Halo Effect, The Anarchists, The Wreckers, BU2B2, BU2B, and the Garden, arranged and conducted by David Campbell. Although I think it's just BU2B2. It might not be BU2B. I think I just read that wrong. Recorded at Ocean Way Studios, Los Angeles, California, January 18th, 2012. So they wrapped up in Toronto, and then they went to LA and they did the strings. So they were motivated to finish this thing. Art, direction, design, and illustrations by Hugh Sim, who's back. And the band portrait, by the way, there's a pretty cool, where is that picture of the band? Here it is. I was just looking at it. That's cool. By the way, I just bought this. This is another, it's not a jewel case. It's the Digipack. I just got this year on, I think from Amazon or somewhere. This is brand new. When I first got it, I didn't like it. I'll admit it. But, and I've grown to appreciate it. Like all things. The more exposure, the better it seems. And that could be right or wrong, but it is what it is. You got the clock here with the clouds, and then it says Rush, Clockwork Angels on the top, and then you got the songs in the back. Let me just read this. The front cover is red, clock, clouds, and symbols, okay, from Wikipedia. The album's front cover, designed by Rush's longtime collaborator Hugh Sim, depicts a clock marked with alchemical symbols, or alchemy, I guess. alchemical symbols instead of numbers. It displays the time as 9:12, which in 24-hour time is 21:12. Get it? 21:12. A reference to the band's fourth studio album, 21:12, from 1976. 9:12 is also unintentionally a reference to Neil Peart's birthday, September 12th, or 9/12. And so, this is, I won't get into it too much, but this is a concept album, but even more so than that, it's a story. It's a story that Neil Peart was motivated to write, and it was novelized into a series of 3 books, I guess, about Clockwork Angels. I haven't read it, but I'd be interested in reading it, and I might someday. But yeah, it's a religious heavy theme again. I mean, you could argue 4 albums in a row, 3 for sure, and maybe even Test for Echo. You could argue, singing about angels and demons. By the way, I might mistakenly call this Angels and Demons. I make that mistake all the time in my head, and sometimes I mistakenly say Clockwork Orange, but it's Clockwork Angels. If I say it, I'm sorry. You can leave comments and beat me up. The cover art, Hugh did a great job on the cover and the liner. You got this time machine-y looking thing. And then, it's like the Test for Echo or the Snakes and Arrows one. It's just really colorful, good photos in here. You got the lyrics and a good print job. Excellent graphics. And by the way, each one of these songs goes back to that story. There's like a preface that Neil Peart has written for each song. So, and it reads like a story. So, yeah, great job, good concept, good design, good look and feel, good everything, great wind themes. And let's get right into the songs, all right? Okay, the first track is Caravan, 5 minutes and 40 seconds. This is gets off to the good start here. Da 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 da. Okay, that's kind of what the song does. Key of E major, all power chords. No nothing. No minor chords or major chords. But okay, 128 beats per minute, 4/4 time. The verses are 8 bars, and it's when Geddy's singing, "In a world lit only by fire," and then the chorus is 8 bars. I can't stop thinking big. And then the instrumental time changes after 30 bars. So that's when the jam turns into like a guitar solo, and that's when the time. So 30 bars, and that's long. That's a pretty long one for Rush these days. I mean, some can even remember back to like 2112 and Caress of Steel, 40-bar guitar solos plus, sometimes 60. But this is pretty standard fare song construction by Rush, and verse, verse, chorus, verse, 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 chorus, the instrumental with the guitar solo, and then the chorus, and that's Caravan. Now, I neglected to mention in the summary that this is like a. I mean, I mentioned that it's a book, but it's not really a concept album as it is really like a story, like The Wall or something like that. So you can read the books, and I have friends that have read the book. I haven't read the book, but I am interested in reading the book. But that gets the story off to the start on Clockwork Angels, which sometimes I mistakenly call Angels and Demons from the Test for Echo song. Track 2 is BU2B, 5 minutes, 10 seconds. Brought Up to Believe is what that stands for. And what you'll notice is the strings, I guess they could be keyboards because they didn't reference the strings in this song in the credits. It could be keyboards. But there's some soul playing of the acoustic guitar by Alex at the beginning, and this is also one of the better songs on the album. Okay, key of G major, 116 beats per minute at 4/4 time, and the verse. This is when Geddy Lee is singing, I was brought up to believe the universe has a plan. This is 16 bars, and then the chorus is also 16 bars. All is for the best. Believe in what we're told. And then the bridge is 16 bars, plus there's 4 bars in the middle. So it's like, it's more like 20 bars, but it's 16 bar song. And then 8's for an instrumental too. Yeah. And then there's no solo in this song. So it's an intro, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. And that is Brought Up to Believe, or BU to B, which is hard for me to say. But a pretty good song, and keeps the album rolling right along. Track 3 is Clockwork Angels, 7 minutes 31 seconds, a longest. In fact, this might be the longest. It is. It is the longest song on the album. Headlong Flight is 7:20. And also, not only is it a long song, but it was the most difficult song for me to dissect. I mean, I didn't trust the lyrics that I was reading on Genius and on Rush.com. You know, a lot of the albums on Rush.com, the actual choruses are in italics. But this album is not like that, so it's frustrating. I like to validate what I'm hearing, so because I don't want people saying you're wrong, you know. But by the way, did I mention I'm not like a musician or a musicologist? I'm like an amateur, but anyway, I didn't trust the lyrics on Genius, so I had to go to the sheet music and construct from there. And I use sheet music now for this one. Most of the songs from the album are on there. I had to dissect it. The bass line in this song is special, and this is Clockwork Angels we're talking about, especially during the guitar solo. Ba da da ba da da where, ba da da ba da da where. Okay, and also this song is one of the songs that has some of the wipeout drumming during the chorus. This song is in the key of E major. Like at the beginning, it's like an ambient start to the song in E major, and then there's a key change in the pre-chorus to D major. It's 88 beats per minute in 6/8 time, which I count 1, 2, like triplet. So you got to think of it as eighth notes get 6 beats per measure. But the way we were taught to count was 1, 2, 1, 2, triplet, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, almost like a waltz. So in the intro, there's some sounds and cymbals and like some spaciness, and then it's in E major for about a minute 10 seconds. So a pretty long introduction for Rush. I mean, it's more like a Metallica lengthy introduction. And then the pre-chorus. The pre-chorus is when he sings "High Above the City Square." That is 12 bars in D major. So that's when the key changes. The verse is 16 bars in that 6/8 counting. It's counting 1, 2, 1, 2. So it's 16 bars. And Geddy Lee is singing "You Promise Every Treasure to the Foolish and the Wise." Very cool part of the song for me. And then the chorus is 16 bars. And that's when he's singing "Clockwork Angels, Spread Their Arms and Sing." 16 bars. And then the "As If to Fly" part. Okay. So that's the chorus. There's a solo in this song. I counted 32 bars. The solos on this album, like I mentioned in the beginning, they're more like the other 2 albums in Stage 5, like Vapor Trails and Snakes and Arrows. But it definitely fits this sound of this album. It's like mixed in. It's not on top overbearing like a Pink Floyd solo. It's just like, it's right in there. The bridge is when Geddy Lee sings "Lean Not Up on Your Own Understanding." It's about 34 bars with it's the spoken part. Okay, with the spoken part. The song structure for this one is a pre-chorus. This is, by the way, this one is very unique. Pre-chorus, verse, chorus, pre-chorus, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, chorus. Very unusual song structure to have. The pre-chorus before the verse, and in the next spot, it's after the verse. After the chorus and before the verse. This is very unusual. But that is Clockwork Angels, and thank God there is sheet music to validate. Track 4 on Clockwork Angels is "The Anarchist," 6 minutes 52 seconds. Again, wipeout drums at the beginning, in the intro and also in the pre-chorus. The you know what I mean. And then there's a real long intro again on this song of 1:25. So that's like another one that's like real long introduction, like Metallica. And the strings kick in. The strings on the Anarchist are more like an aesthetic choice in the background. It's not like prominent and up front and in your face. It just kind of adds to the texture of the song. The Anarchist is in key of D major, at least the verse is, and then it changes to G major for the pre-chorus. By the way, Geddy likes to sing in these two keys, so it's good for him. It's 144 beats per minute and 4/4 time. The verse is when Geddy Lee sings will there be word, and that's 16 bars, and then the pre-chorus is 16 bars, the chorus is 16 bars, and the bridge is 8 bars. The solo, there is a solo, but it's more like an instrumental after the bridge with a solo. Nothing spectacular again from Alex, just getting a solo done, 16 bars solo. And this song structure is a verse, pre-chorus, chorus, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, chorus. And so going back, much more like an 80s or 90s Rush album song for the Anarchist. Track 5 is Carney's 4 minutes and 52 seconds. It's not the best song on the album. The intro has Alex playing some, to me, it's like Danzig sounding like guitar, a la John Christ or Tommy Victor from modern day Danzig. You know, in Danzig songs when they play the riff and then they slide up, kind of like in the song Left Hand Black. So, or by the way, 100 other Danzig songs do that. But the riff doesn't sound like a Danzig song, but Alex is playing these. He's doing that. It's in the key of E major, and this is another one that has a key change in the bridge to C major. Okay, it's 140 beats per minute, and it's 4/4. Feels like halftime or cut time. The verse is when Geddy sings Under the Graves of Angels. That's 12 bars. And the chorus is that's when he sings The Glint of Iron Wheels is 16 bars. And then the bridge is when it switches from E major to C major for the bridge. How I Prayed Just to Get Away is 12 bars. And then there's a solo of 8 bars of instrumental, and then the wipeout drums come back. Like where he's really hitting the toms, you know. The song structure of Carney's is verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus, verse, bridge, chorus. Kind of like a Beatles song, actually, in song structure. Track 6 is Halo Effect, 3 minutes, 14 seconds. Strings are on this one. This is one of the better songs on the album, by the way. I like, this is a good one. Key of D major in drop D tuning. If you're a guitarist, you know what that means. That's when you put the E, you put the E's down to, you down tune them to a D. And then you do, I think the B's too, I think. It's 84 beats per minute and 4/4 time. The verse is 16 bars, and it's Geddy singing what did I see, fool that I was. Geddy singing, and then Alex is playing. And then the chorus is 16 bars. What did I know, fool that I was. The music really starts to ramp up in the chorus. And then the whole band with the strings comes. So that's how you can tell the difference between the verse and the chorus in this song. In the verse, it's just Geddy singing and Alex playing. And then in the chorus, it's everybody with the strings. And the solo is 16 bars of Alex playing a cool, like, almost like a country ditty. Not like George Harrison does it, but like a dot, 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 dot. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, dot, 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 dot. You know, kind of faster like that, but anyway, Halo Effect is a verse, chorus, that 16-bar guitar solo, and then the chorus. And that's a pretty simple song for Rush. Track 7 is 7 Cities of Gold, 6 minutes and 32 seconds. The song opens with a bass line a la Chris Squire of Yes, and it even reminds me of that a little bit. And some instrumental for 1 minute and 1 second. So another long Rush instrumental here to open the song. A big driving guitar line in the song, like, I'm not sure, na 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 na, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Na 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 na, like that, sort of David Gilmour-ish, not yeah, I guess that's the best way. It's key of E major and 120 beats per minute and 4/4 time. All these songs, except for one so far, has been in 4/4. The verse here is 16 bars and the pre-chorus is 8 bars, and then the chorus is 16 bars. Feels like a time switch or a tempo switch at the end of the chorus. But that makes it harder to count, but I'm going to say 16. And then no solo. No solo on this one. Verse, pre-chorus, chorus, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, pre-chorus, chorus. But the three pre-choruses are different. They're different words. So it's not like you're repeating the pre-chorus. Track 8 is Wreckers, 5 minutes and 1 second. This is another one with the strings. The best part of this song is the chorus. So just wait a minute, I'll get there. From Genius, and I'm ad-libbing, I'm shortening the story, which was read like an interview of Geddy Lee. Geddy Lee wrote this song on an acoustic guitar. He said he wrote the verse and the chorus. And he said he started strumming on a guitar, and then Alex picked up a bass and started playing the bass. And it sounded like Geddy Lee's words, not mine, like a Bare Naked Lady song. And then what they did when they went into the studio to start rehearsing it, they switched instruments with Alex playing guitar and Geddy bass, and then it sounded like a Rush song. It's kind of what it's a Rush song. The key is in C major, and it changes to G major for the bridge. 130 beats per minute and 4/4 time. This one is a verse of 16 bars. And then the chorus is my favorite part of the song. Geddy singing, one of the lines he sings is, "All I know is that sometimes the truth is contrary." And it's like it kind of does that. And it's 12 bars. And I just like the song. And the bridge, it's a big change in tone with keyboards prominent. I'm going to assume it's keyboards. I guess it could be the strings. It sounded like keyboards to me, but I guess that could have been the strings. Repeated for 32 bars, the bridge. So they play it for 16 bars and then they repeat it for a total of 32. And no solo on this song either. Verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, and that's the song. Good song, The Wreckers, track 8. Track 9 is Headlong Flight, 7 minutes and 20 seconds. That would make it the second longest song on the album. It's in the key of E major, 188 beats per minute. And it's 4/4, but it switches to halftime for the choruses. So, or like cut time, like 1, 2, 1. You know what I mean? So listen, I had to listen to this back because this is another one where I didn't trust the Genius, but then I redid it and I liked what Genius had down after all. So the verses, the stanzas always start all the journey or all the headlight, all the treasures. That's how they start. It's 1, 2, it's verse 1, verse 2, verse 3. Those are all 16 bars. Okay. The chorus is 12 bars, and then there's a second chorus, 16 bars. I guess you could call it like a pre-chorus and a chorus, but it's more like having two choruses, like in Presto or something like that. The interlude is like the bridge. The bridge is like spoken word that the days were dark, and it's kind of like under the it's kind of soft. That's 12 bars. And then there's a big drum solo, which features the Wipeout drums are back. This is like the 4th or 5th song with Wipeout drums. And then there's some guitar on top of that for 16 bars. And then the guitar solo really kicks in. So the guitar solo itself is 16 bars. And then some additional bars and phrases to get out of the guitar solo to get back into the rest of the song. And I did validate the song structure. So it's a verse, chorus 1, verse, chorus 2, verse, chorus 1, chorus 2, that bridge, which is like an interlude. And then the drum, then the guitar solo, then the verse, chorus 1, chorus 2, out. I kind of like the song. It's all right. It does what it needs to do. It's part of the story too. Track 10 is BU2B2, part 2, 1:28, the shortest Rush song ever in the history of Rush songs. Lots of strings, And it's a reprise of track 2, BU2B. And it's in the key of C again, 116 beats per minute and 4/4 time. And it's just verse, 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 verse. He's just singing like the verses in track 2. It's not like the chorus isn't brought back in. It's just Geddy Lee singing the 4 verses. Not much to report here. Track 11 is Wish Them Well, 5 minutes and 25 seconds. This sounds like a song that could fit on Test for Echo. Carrying a good balance forward of singing 90s style vocals and strong songwriting. The intro is in A major, and then it switches over to E major for the verse. And then there's an interlude, which is in G major. So 3 keys in the song. And it's not just me, like, it's very noticeable, the key switches. Like, you can tell when it's jarring. It's jarring, but in a good way when it happens. So it starts in key of A major, 120 beats per minute, and 4/4 throughout the song. The chorus is all that you can do is wish them well. That's what Geddy sings for 8 bars. And then the verse is when it switches to E major. Spirits turn bitter by the poison of envy. And then the interlude is in G major. The bridge is when he's singing the ones who've done you wrong. And then there's a pre-chorus. Thank your stars, you're not that way. Okay. That's the song. That's how the song is organized. So like whenever you see like songs what does it always say? Songs by Lifeson and Lee, lyrics by Perd. That's the songwriting. But then there's always like credits, like the song structure is done by. And in this case, it says Rush and Nick Raskulinecz. But that's just how they like the arrangements. It'll say arrangements by. They like spend a lot of time like how should this song go, right? So for this one, the song structure, I had to. By the way, this is one I definitely had to amend from Genius. Genius was just, I had to like painstakingly go through the sheet music and analyze and look and then put it back together. It's chorus, chorus, verse, pre-chorus. Chorus, verse, pre-chorus, bridge, pre-chorus, chorus, outro. And then, this is another one where they got a random pre-chorus in there before the bridge just to surprise you. And it works. It's great. Wish Them Well. The Garden is track 12, 6 minutes, 59 seconds. Opens with strings and guitar and big sweeping strings that sort of envelop you and arpeggiated rhythm style guitar. And I'm going to say this is the best song on the album. Yeah. It's my favorite song on the album. It's probably the best song too. I like it so much, it's comparable to Available Light from Presto. It's just one of those songs I wouldn't mind just playing over and over again. I like the way it sounds. I think it's an emotional song. And it does the job. It's a great album ender, and if it's the very last Rush song ever, it's great. Great ending for Rush. I may actually like it better than Available Light, and I like Available Light quite a bit. I like the big bum bum bum, but this one's got the emotional element of the strings. The verses are different. The first time it's 28 bars, and then the second time it's 31 bars. And the pre-chorus is always 16 bars, and the chorus is 8 bars. But one time it's 32 bars, so they play it 4 times. It's longer. The bridge is 24 bars. Geddy Lee. This is the part when it's just Geddy Lee, a piano, and the strings, and he's singing the bridge. And you know what I mean. It's awesome. And then the guitar solo is 20 bars of Alex playing with those strings and everyone else. The song structure is verse, pre-chorus, chorus, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, guitar solo, and outro. And yeah, 6 minutes and 59 seconds for that simple of song structure. I mean, one of those choruses is really long though. That's how they get it. That's how they stretch it out. So yeah, so that's Clockwork Angels. All right, Clockwork Angels. This will be the final Rush album, most likely. Uh, in summary, it sounds more like Vapor Trails than Snakes and Arrows, but they kind of sound alike, but more like Vapor Trails. Vapor to me, Vapor Trails is the better album. It doesn't have any of the strings um, or any keyboards at all on Vapor Trails. And Vapor Trails it comes off really heavy, especially if you like the original mix, like the muddy one, the one that the fans complained about. But the remix from 2013 or whatever that was, that one's brighter. I like them both. I like the original. Now, Snakes and Arrows has bigger moments than Clockwork, better moments, but Clockwork from beginning to end is the better album. And I would say I just like it a tick less than Vapor Trails. Over album, I think it's more consistent track to track than any Rush album's been in a long time. I mean, you could tell they put their time in with the songwriting and arrangements and the production. 2 years on production, it seems like a long time. And to get the strings right and everything, they really put their time in and they earned it. And the album is better off for it. It's a better listen than Snakes. By the way, I've grown to like Snakes. This is the better album. It's a 3.96 rating at progarchives.com. I mean that seems kind of high to me. I mean, if you got an album that's going to be around 4, that should be stellar, like knock your socks off. This isn't quite knock your socks off. It's just really, really good. And it's different for a Rush album. I mean, it sounds like the Vapor Trails. It's heavy. It's heavier than Vapor Trails. But it's just good. It's good to listen to. And that'll be it. What I'll do next is, we'll do the stage 5 ranking. That'll be quick. And it'll be different because I don't have I'm not going to pull out one live album to talk about. There's so every one of these albums had a live album, plus they had the Time Machines one, which is pretty cool. They just threw in an extra one for the hell of it. So you got Rush and Rio and for Vapor Trails, and then you got the Time Machine, you got Snakes and Arrows live, and then you got the live version of this one, which I haven't heard. I'd like to hear it. And then you got Rush 40 or R40, whatever you want to call it. I've seen a bunch of that. You know what? I think what I'll do is I'll just do it in the frame of R40. Because that makes sense. Then it's more like different stages, right? Or All the World's a Stage, or Exit Stage Left. And then I'll do, eventually I'll get around to a entire, these are my Rush all-time rankings. Okay? Thanks, everybody. Coach Plow Guys out.